You're tripping yourself running downhill. And what I mean by that is whenever you earn something or you do something that's almost worthy of praise, you achieve something, you get something new in your life, you're rewarded, you feel like you don't deserve it, so you start sabotaging yourself as you start reaping the rewards. Most of the time in my life, I've always done this because I had to feel like I earned it. I had to feel like I deserved it some way. And if I got something without suffering for it, then I didn't deserve it. It took me a long time to get over that feeling because it happened every time I achieved something. Maybe it was with a sport, with fitness, like in the gym. Whenever I started getting stronger, I started getting bigger, I started either taking it too easy, lost a lot of muscle, stopped eating because I was like, I'm supposed to be the skinny guy. Why am I gaining all this weight? Like I got to 200 pounds at one point. I didn't want to be that big, don't get me wrong, but at the time I wanted to get bigger. So I lost all that weight. It was, it was a good thing, but at the same time, it's like, as I should have been reaping those rewards, getting stronger, I started tripping myself up and I lost all that progress. Same thing with relationships. I'd get in, like, every time I got into a relationship with a girl, the second I started really liking them and enjoying being with them, I'd almost intentionally kill the relationship. And not intentionally in the sense where I'd go out of my way to make it happen, but it was more like subconsciously I would get myself into bad situations to make it end, that because I thought I'd be safer and I didn't deserve what I was getting out of it. And it took me a while to understand that this was literally me just tripping myself up. I saw it as something that just happened, but in reality, I was just sabotaging myself and keep myself from letting that relationship prosper. So it's relationships, fitness, and also with sports too. Like with jiu-jitsu, I'm a blue belt in jiu-jitsu. At the very end of my white belt, which is 4 stripes, you don't know, it takes about a year for most people to get to blue belt. At the very end of my white belt, I was a good bit better than I was whenever I got my blue belt. Because whenever I got that blue belt, it felt like I was just going downhill. I was like, okay, I should have just kept progressing from there. But in my head, it's like, oh, I got blue belt, I don't deserve it. Like, whenever I got it, I genuinely believed I didn't deserve it. But in reality, that's just holding myself back because they wouldn't promote me to blue belt if I didn't deserve being a blue belt. It's doing yourself harm by, again, tripping yourself going downhill. And I didn't see that. So as I became a blue belt, I got noticeably worse. Like it's specific things, whatever it was, I was noticeably worse. And I'm just getting back to where I was in my white belt. It was really strange. And it took me about 3 months to get back to where I was. Really weird. And it's just happened in so many different aspects of my life with jobs. I'll start getting used to a job. It gets real easy. And now this is something I don't mind because this is just part of who I am. But whenever I do something for a long period of time, I get bored and I have to like constantly get change. I just love change, experiencing new things. So I'll be at a new job for a year. About a year in, I'm like, man, I got to do something new. So I just leave instead of sticking to it. As I'm about to get like promoted or whatever the case is, and everything should be getting easier, should be more fruitful. And because I feel like I don't deserve it, or I feel like the job's a bad thing because I do probably deserve it, but it's just not in my nature. But everything else, as things become more fruitful, as things are going to be, just better, I trip myself up, and it happens to most people. You might feel like you don't deserve something. Relationships, friends, some change in your life, whatever it is for the better. Maybe it's just some self-development, you just don't see it. You're more confident, you don't think you should be confident. Whatever the case is in your own life, as things are getting better, again, you trip yourself going downhill whenever you should just be coasting along, getting to it. With YouTube, for me, the second I had one video blow up, and again, this wasn't intentional, it's just something you don't realize, but the second I had one video blow up, the channel was gaining traction. And I was getting like a good 2,000 followers a month, or subscribers a month, which was really good for me at the time. It still was really good for me. And I think that got to my head in a sense, like not like I was like arrogant about it, but I think in a sense, subconsciously, I thought, oh, I don't have to go as hard because look, it's picking up. And because of that, I stopped posting as much, which, I was really loving posting. And that caused me to not post as often, which in turn led me to not enjoying it as much. And now I'm enjoying it again because I'm posting often again. So that was a prime example of tripping myself running downhill, because if I would have kept posting super consistently and putting as much time and effort into it as I was whenever that first video blew up, I would have reaped so much more reward from it, because I would have been all the traction from that other video would have gone to my new videos, and it would have had like a snowball effect. And I promise my channel will be a lot bigger than it is right now because of that. But instead I took it easy. I should have been coasting downhill, reaping the rewards, but I tripped myself up and I had to restart in a sense. Not that it bothers me though, because I do enjoy doing this. And I know at some point it will take off. It's a matter of time, but still, I tripped myself up because, in a sense, I felt like I didn't deserve it. I was like, okay. I really didn't even think. At this point, I thought I'd maybe have 1,000 subs. Maybe. I thought it took me about a year, and it got to about 7,000 in like maybe 6 months. So, my thought process was just like, okay, I just don't deserve to be here, and I tripped myself up. So, there's nothing wrong with that because that's how most people are. But it's important to realize it because you can push past and accept things more when you do that, because this is what is supposed to happen. Like, whatever comes to you, you deserve it, but you making yourself believe you don't deserve it is causing you to get stopped up, backed up, and you're backtracking and losing progress. And it can come with any walk of life, which took me a long time to realize it. That was like an enlightening moment I had recently, lightning thought I had recently, and it's like you just got to accept these things, because if you're fighting back against it, even if it's subconsciously, you're just either going to get worse or you're going to backtrack your progress, which is pointless. You're just holding yourself back, and you're not going to reach your full potential by doing it that way. So this is just my beliefs, but I feel like it's just something that most people do. I feel like it's just human nature. If your identity doesn't agree with what you have, then you're not going to accept it, and you're going to almost sabotage yourself. And I know that's a legitimate thing. I think it takes 2 years for your identity to catch up to your reality. I think that's like the science behind it. So like, let's say if just right now somehow you became a super rich business owner, like you make millions a year, your identity wouldn't accept that until about a year or two later. Or I say accept that. You might accept that, but it wouldn't catch up until about a year or two later. So you wouldn't fully embrace, oh, I'm a millionaire, until about 2 years later. Then you realize, oh, this is like my lifestyle. But as you're living that way for that first 2 years, you're going to feel like you have imposter syndrome. So it's really strange to catch up like that. That's why it's almost better to just accept it. Like you shouldn't just question it, because it's who you are now. You shouldn't question it. You should just, okay, this is what happened. Let me step into it. And here we are. It's a good way to go about thinking about that, because if not, you're just going to trip yourself up. And doing that just sets you back, and you're going to lose peace of mind too, because you're going to realize what you missed out on, and it sets you back. But best thing to do there is just accept that and just start where you are. Cool little thought. Figured I'd share it. But if you get any value from this video, appreciate you subscribe. Besides that, see you in the next one. And then give this some thought. I think it's a really good little thought exercise to have. So, yeah.